Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday, May 4th, 2025 writing reading class. Hope you had a great week. Let's go ahead and get started. Just give me a one in the chat room to let me know you can hear me okay. Perfect. And we'll start off today with our quote with some expansion. We'll go into our reading with the quiz. We'll talk about some theories for good writing. We'll introduce a new book and then wrap up with some vocabulary. Let's go ahead and start off with the quote. Alice, can you read the quote over on the left side?
The earth is the cradle of humanity, but mankind cannot stay in the cradle forever.
Cradle, in the cradle forever.
Cradle.
Excellent. And this was a quote by Konstantin Tsiolkovsky. Let's talk about the quote. What does it mean? What is he trying to say in this quote? The earth is the cradle of humanity, but mankind cannot stay in the cradle forever. Anyone have a thought on what he's trying to say? Ken, any thoughts here?
So if we have Earth, we're living on Earth, but one day we have to leave Earth forever.
Why is that?
Because sometimes you'll have some disasters like a volcano erupt, every single volcano erupted, even like ice age.
Okay, okay. Wesley, any thoughts on this one as well? Any guesses on what he means by this quote? Wesley?
No.
Not sure. Alice, any thoughts on what he means?
I think is he tried to say the humanity is like like a group on the earth, but the mankind cannot stay in this group forever.
Why? Why? Why wouldn't they be able to stay?
No idea.
No idea. Okay. All right. So let's talk about this quote. It's good just to kind of explore some ideas. But when we think about a cradle is a bed for a baby. Now, what do we know that is going to happen to a baby? A baby is going to grow up. So when we think of Earth being the bed for humanity, for people, since humanity represents the baby, what he's saying that is going to happen to humanity is that we are going to grow. The purpose of human life is to grow, to become bigger, to become more knowledgeable, to grow up, to become an adult. And so what he's talking about that we cannot stay in the cradle, we cannot stay in this bed that was made for babies. It's not about what's going to happen to the earth. It's about the job of us as humans, as we live, is to grow, to learn, to expand our knowledge. And that's what he's talking about in this quote. So, good with some of the ideas of the of your of what this quote meant. This was a tricky one here, but what some of you are doing that's really good is you're breaking down each piece of it and trying to come up with a solution that makes sense. But yes, this is a statement about what humanity must do. Humanity must continue growing, must continue learning. Now, we are going to actually be talking today the about space. There's an organization that exists in the United States that's all focused on Space exploration. Does anyone know the name of that organization? Anyone familiar with the name of that organization that's all about space exploration? No? Well, it's called NASA. And NASA's focus is all about exploration in space. But why? Let's learn about this. Follow along as I give you some background about NASA. NASA's vision: we reach for new heights and reveal the unknown for the benefit of humankind. What's out there? How do we get there? What will we find? What can we learn there or learn just by trying to get there? That will make life better here on Earth. NASA will be launching an existing robotic fleet at the Red Planet with the InSight Mars lander set to study the planet's interior. The Mars 2020 rover will look at signs of past microbial life, gather samples for future return to Earth, and investigate resources that could someday support astronauts. The James Webb Space Telescope will be the premier observatory for the next decade, studying every phase in the history of our universe in infrared, while the Parker Solar Probe will touch the sun, traveling closer to the surface than any spacecraft before. NASA is also developing the most advanced rocket and spaceship to carry astronauts aboard NASA's Orion spacecraft to the moon. During the second and subsequent early flights, NASA will develop new technologies and techniques and apply innovative approaches to solving problems in preparation for longer duration missions far from Earth. NASA will build up its deep space capacities before ultimately sending humans to Mars, the red planet. Humans are already living and working off the Earth in one-of-a-kind research laboratory in microgravity. The International Space Station serves as a blueprint for global cooperation and exploration technologies like autonomous refueling of spacecraft, advanced life support systems, and human/robotic interfaces. So, as we see lots of projects that NASA is focused on, this is only a small sample of them. Now, I want you to see if you can go back into the reading and find the answers to the following 3 questions. Once you found the answers, then you can go ahead and raise your hand, and then I'll call on people to give me the answers. Or once we've hit our time marker, I'll call on people to give me the answers. But what you want to look for is the following 3. Number 1, what does NASA plan to explore in the solar system? Number 2, what is NASA trying to do with humans in space? And then finally, number 3, explain why space exploration is so important for NASA. Now, I've copied all 3 questions over to the chat room that you can refer to. Once again, once you've found all 3 questions, raise your hand, and then we'll talk. I'll call on people to give me the answers to the following questions. Okay, let's go ahead and discuss the questions here. Ethan, let's start off with you. Number 1, what does NASA plan to explore in the solar system?
They plan to touch the sun and reach the red planet.
Okay, now when you say touch the sun, what do you mean?
Have the reach the sun most closer than any solar craft is.
Yep. So they are actually, so the system that they have will be able to get as the closest that they've ever gotten to the sun.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, the sun is very hot, so as it gets close there, most material just evaporates. So it's about building material that would be sustainable at that high temperature so that they can study and take pictures. And now you mentioned the other one was to go to the red planet, go to Mars. Was that correct? Was that what you said for the second one, Ethan?
Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh. Anyone want to add anything additional? Wesley? Were you adding something additional?
Uh, NASA is trying to send humans to Mars.
Okay, well, that moves into a little bit of our next question. Okay, so
Yeah.
if Wesley, I'll have you continue and tell me some more here. So, what is NASA trying to do with humans? Yes, they're trying to send humans to Mars. What else are they trying to do with humans? Alice?
They also try to use a spacecraft to send humans to moon.
Also to the moon as well. What else are they trying to do with humans in space? There's one final point that they mentioned about things they're doing with humans. Okay, let's go back to the text for this one for a second. Take a look at your last paragraph. What else are they trying to do with humans in space? You can explain what they're trying to do with humans in space. Take a look at the last paragraph. Alice?
The Earth,
What's that?
the Earth.
What do you mean by that? Make a sentence. I need a sentence. Okay, let's go back to the reading again. What's the final thing that they're trying to do with humans in space? Look at the final paragraph. Your hand when you can tell me. Look at the final paragraph, everyone. Ken, can you explain what they're trying to do with humans on Earth or in space?
So they're trying to help people go to Mars and have civilization.
So we already talked about Mars. What is the final paragraph? What is the final paragraph explaining?
It's explain it's explaining that we're already living on Earth.
So what I'm interested in, everyone, is I need to know what are they doing? They talk about people living in space, but why are they living? What are they trying to do? The answers are in that final paragraph, that last paragraph. Ethan?
Maybe advanced life support systems and human uh, um, to help human live
Help humans live where?
outside.
Outside. What do you mean by outside?
Like maybe one day the Earth is gone and they need to go to another place to live.
Okay, so what they're saying is they're working to help make it possible that humans could actually live in space if needed. As we see in the final paragraph, they talk about autonomous refueling spacecrafts. What does that mean? Autonomous refueling of spacecrafts. Can anyone tell me? What does that mean? Autonomous refueling of spacecraft. Alice, any idea what that means? Autonomous refueling of spacecraft?
No.
So autonomous means being able to do it on your own. So being able to refuel, which is to put gas or electricity back into the spacecraft by yourself. So autonomous, so they're working on studying that. Advanced life support systems. This is what you were talking about, Ethan. Being able to live in space. And then they mentioned the finally, and human robotic interfaces. What is that? What is interfaces? Human robotic interfaces. Wesley, any idea? Ken, let's go ahead and leave the symbols alone right now. You can use the symbol to raise your hand if you'd like to, but let's leave the other ones out. Any idea what that means, Wesley? Human robotic interfaces. Ken, any idea what that means?
Man-made robots.
Robots and humans working together. So it's based interfaces is the connection of being able to work together, humans working with robots, robots working with humans. Exactly. So those are the three things that they're doing in addition in space. Good. Now, finally, explain why space exploration is so important. Wesley, can you answer this question? Why is space exploration so important for NASA?
NASA is developing technologies to help humans live in space station.
That's one thing that they're doing, but why is that important? And it's more broad than that. It's not that's just one thing they're doing, but why even study space is the question. Why even focus on it?
So people can live in space.
Not quite. Let's go to the first paragraph, everyone. Take a look at the first paragraph. What can we infer from the first paragraph here? Raise your hand when you can have an idea. Why even study space at all? Think about also your quote that we discussed. Why would NASA even be interested in studying space? What's the point? Alice, any idea?
Um, no.
Wesley?
Review the unknown of the space for the benefit of the humankind.
Exactly. The whole purpose of space exploration is to develop, just like we talked about being in the cradle, and the focus was on human growth, human knowledge, learning. So the whole purpose behind it is similar to the quote. It's all about growing as humans. Now, they mention in the first paragraph here that it's there for the benefit of humankind, to make our lives better, but also to make our lives better, as they say at the very end of the first paragraph, to make our lives better here on earth. So just for the overall benefit of humankind. Okay, now we had some vocabulary words from the text. Fleet, astronaut, subsequent, microgravity, and autonomous. What I'd like for you to do is try to take 2 of the vocabulary words and use them in a sentence. Once you have your writing, you can submit, and then we'll take a look and make sure the definitions are correct. Be sure to think about what part of speech each word is, whether it's a noun, verb, adjective, adverb, preposition, and how you would use it. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the sentences coming in. If you want to submit, just go ahead and start to wrap up before we move on to the next exercise. Let's see here. Ken, you wrote astronauts usually are subsequent. Now tell me what did you mean by this statement?
So I think astronauts are usually after something.
After what?
After time.
Okay, well
No.
the word subsequent means following. So if you were talking about that, there's lots of astronauts that go to space one after the other, that would work. Now, subsequent, this is an adjective. So let's maybe create a sentence that could work. We could say something like, the new astronaut had his subsequent voyage to space after his mentor had already gone. You understand the meaning of that sentence?
Yeah.
So we're just saying that this astronaut was the second astronaut to go. And subsequent meaning that he had the following voyage after his mentor or boss had gone. Okay, good. Wesley, let's take a look at yours. You said it is very easy for astronauts to live in space. Now, for cause, you want to spell this out when you write this, because things are all autonomous. What do you mean? What things are autonomous? Can you give me an example what you mean autonomous? What do you mean by that, Wesley?
Like
Technology.
like some technologies or like some computers.
Okay, so they can function on their own.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and just add that in. Instead of saying things in writing, we can be more specific. Some things like computers, and what was the other thing? And technology. Maybe we can say some technology.
Or technology.
Like computers are all autonomous. Okay, good. That works. I just add a little bit more detail to the sentence instead of things, which is just too vague. Once you give us an example, that works out really nicely. Good. Okay, Alice, you wrote the astronaut fleet was launched into space. Now, tell me what you mean by fleet.
Uh, it's like this astronauts fleet is like a group that made up by astronauts.
Perfect. Yep, that is good sentence. Well done. Now, Ethan, you wrote the astronaut's boss had a huge fleet going to the moon. Okay, similarly, the same meaning as Alice's. That sentence works out very nicely. Well done. Good. All right, let's talk a little grammar piece here for a second. Now take a look at these three sentences. Can anyone tell me what's the difference in the meaning of them? The first one says, if I work hard, I succeed. The second one is, if I work hard, I will succeed. And the third one is, if I worked hard, I would succeed. What's the difference in these sentences? In the meaning? If I work hard, I succeed. If I work hard, I will succeed. And if I worked hard, I would succeed. Let's talk about the first one. Anyone have an idea of what we're trying to say in the first one? How that one is different than the others? Ethan, any thoughts? If I work hard, I succeed.
I don't know.
Not sure? Okay. Well, let me help you out with the first one, and then maybe we can figure out the other ones. In the first sentence, we are talking about something that is always true, or it's a fact. If I work hard, I succeed every single time. It is always true, or it is a fact. Now, what we see here is what's known as the zero conditional. It is a statement using if that uses present simple on both sides of the cause and the effect, or the condition, the situation, and the result of the condition. It's always true. Every single time I work hard, I always succeed. But how is that different from the second sentence? If I work hard, I will succeed. How is that different? Ken, any idea?
So it just missed a will, which is, I think the second one is first conditional.
But what does it mean?
If I work hard, I will succeed. So means is future tense.
But what does it mean? Alice, you had your hand up. Any idea what it means?
I think is you do not know if you are succeed.
Do you think that it's something that is likely to happen or something that's unlikely to happen?
It's like it may be possible or impossible.
Do you think it's stronger or do you think it's less? Do you think it's stronger that it's possible or less that it's possible?
Maybe in the middle.
No. Pick one or the other. I will succeed. Think about will. Do we use will to talk about something that is likely to happen or unlikely to happen?
Likely to happen.
Exactly. This is talking about something that is likely to happen in the future. If I work hard, I will succeed. Now, there's a chance that it may not happen, but the situation is likely. And that's the difference between when I change it to future will during the result part of the statement. Now, the final one, if I worked hard, I would succeed. Wesley, what do you think here?
It didn't happen yet.
No, it hasn't happened yet. Do you think it's likely to happen or unlikely to happen?
Mm. Unlikely to happen.
This is unlikely to happen. So in this final one, someone who thinks that they are probably not going to work hard, they would say this last one. If I worked hard, I would succeed, but I don't usually work hard. So they're saying that they don't think it's going to happen. Now, as you notice, with all of these tenses, they're all correct, but it's a matter of what do you mean? Are you talking about something that's an absolute truth? That's all the time? Are you talking about something that's likely to happen? Or are you talking about something that's you don't think is going to happen at all? Maybe it will, but it's not likely. Now, sometimes there is not a choice. Sometimes one is better always than the other. But you could say all three of these. All three of them would have a different meaning to the person that was hearing you say it. But that's the difference between the zero, the first, and the second conditional. Now, if you look at the blue spot, this will tell you how it's formed. If we're talking about something that is a fact or truth, we use the zero conditional. We add present simple on both sides, the if part of the sentence and the result part of the sentence. First conditional on the if part of the sentence with present simple, and then will plus the infinitive or the future tense with will, future will. And then second conditional, this uses past simple with the if part of the statement. And would plus the past participle. Now I'm going to go ahead and write in the second conditional. I'm going to write each of the conditionals, the structure once again. It's if plus present simple. And that's on both sides of the statement. Now understand something. The order could be switched. I could put the if on the second part of the statement. That could work. Now, if I do that, whatever tense is with if must always stay with if. So, for example, if you were using the first conditional and we changed the sentence around and it said, we'll go to the cinema if it rains tomorrow, the if must always be with present simple. The other part, the future will, that stays separate from the if. It always has to be that way. And then the final one, as I'm typing here, past simple, and then would plus the verb. So let's take a look at a sentence and see if you can figure out when we should use each of these tenses. Now, unlike our first exercise, there is only one answer here. Number one, it says, I, with the verb enjoy shopping if I could buy anything I wanted. Now, what we'll need to look at is we'll need to look at the part of the statement that is already filled out. And that will help you figure out which one is the best to use. I think those actually all went to Ken. Ken, let me go ahead and copy these and send them to everyone else. So you all have the formations. There's the zero conditional. Here is the first conditional and the third conditional. Now raise your hand if you can tell me which one do you think are in the second conditional. Which one is correct to use here? Use the part that's already filled out to help you know which one to use. Wesley, what do you think here? We already have the part, if I could buy anything I wanted. Which of those conditionals is that? If I could buy anything I wanted. Could buy, could buy. Is that present or past?
Would,
So you're saying the answer is would?
would enjoy.
I would enjoy. So which conditional is that?
Uh, the second one.
That's correct. I would enjoy shopping if I could buy anything I wanted. As you see, we already have the if part of the statement is in the second half of the sentence. So that means and because it's could, that's past tense. So that's how you figured out would. As long as you find the if, then you'll see if we're needing to use, if it's with present simple or if it's with past simple. We have two, zero conditional and the first conditional, that uses present simple with the if, but one is about something that is always true. Very good. If I would enjoy shopping if I could buy anything I wanted. Alice, take a look at number 2. If you wouldn't catch a cold all the time, or you wouldn't catch a cold all the time if you, with the verb, wear warmer clothes.
If you weird.
So you think past
Weird.
tense?
Yep.
What's the past tense of wear? It's actually an irregular verb.
Were.
If you wore. So you wouldn't catch a cold all the time if you wore warmer clothes. Which conditional is this? Which conditional, Alice?
Second.
Second conditional as well. Exactly. Ethan, take a look at number 3. We'll never finish getting the room ready unless everyone, with the verb help. Then
First,
that's correct. We have the second half, we will, there. So what would that be?
unless everyone will help.
Well, we already have the will. The will is in the first part. We will never finish. The will part is done.
Helps.
That's right. Unless everyone helps, present simple. And then Ken, number 4, you will lose your friends if you, with the verb, not make more effort to see them.
Will not make.
Well, you already have will. That part is already completed.
Won't.
No, you can't use a will because you already have will. So which conditional uses will during the result
First.
part? The first. Okay, so you need to use if plus present simple. So what would be the present simple of not make?
Mm,
Present simple, not make. Anyone have an idea? Not make? Present simple?
don't
Ethan?
make.
Close.
Don't.
I'm sorry? I'm sorry, you said don't make?
Yeah.
Yes, if you don't make more effort, don't make more effort. There you go. Good. Now feel free to practice more of these as we learn about and feel the difference between them. Let's see if we can do a quick exercise where we try to make one. Okay. So let's see if we can do a zero, a first, and a second conditional. Use the formation that I put in the chat room. They don't need to all be the same statement. Think about the meanings behind each one. The zero was for something that is always true. First is something that is likely to happen, and second is for something that is unlikely. But let's see if you can create your own statements. Once you have them, you can go and submit, and we'll take a look and discuss. Okay, we'll start to take a look at some of the examples coming in. If you do want to submit, just go ahead and start to wrap up. Can you send one in? If my dad said, if I get a bad grade, he will kick my butt. Okay. Now yours is a little interesting here because we didn't talk about how we use this with quotes, but you essentially are doing quoted speech. Now, because you're doing quoted speech, you can't use the first conditional. What would you need to do? Because we did talk about quoted speech. What would you need to change yours to?
Mm,
Because he can say present simple, but you can't say present simple in quoted speech. So what would you have to change to your get to?
if I got.
Yeah, because you're saying something that is now in the past because someone said it in the present. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so if my dad said if I got a bad grade, now what does will need to change to?
Would.
Would, exactly. The conditional itself is correct for first conditional as he said it and the present. But now, since you put it in quoted speech and said, my dad said, now it has to go into past tense. But you're correct. Originally, it is a first conditional, but it's only because of your quoted speech. Second conditional only because of spoken speech. Now, if you hadn't have put it in spoken speech, then you could have left it in first conditional, but it's just because of the reported speech that we have to put it in past. Okay. Let's see. Alice, you wrote in yours, um, I get a healthy body if I do sports. Okay, this is correct as a first conditional. However, we don't need the comma if we are putting the if part of the statement in the second half of the sentence. We only use the comma if it's in the first half. But as far as your formation, that is good. All right, let me copy over a couple more of our writers. Alice, oh, actually, Alice, you also wrote, let's see here, you wrote, if I help my mom, I will get a little present. So that was first conditional. That works out nicely. Very good. Okay, I'll copy over. Oh, Alice, it looks like you wrote one more too. Let's see. So your last one here. If I got home late, I would get, I think what you're trying to say here is I would go to bed late. I would go to bed late. Yeah. So that does work um, as a second conditional. Nice. Okay. Very good. Now let me copy over Wesley and Ethan. We'll take a look at those before we wrap up. So Wesley, you wrote, if you eat too much, you get fat. Good. If you eat too much, you will get fat. That does work as well. If you ate too much, you would get fat, and that does work as well. Very good. Ethan, you wrote, if I get full marks, I earn $100. It's a fact. If I get full marks, I will earn $100. If I got full marks, I would earn $100. Okay, formations of those are all correct. Very good. All done, everyone. Now we have a new book this week. This is Out of the Dust, a book by Karen Hess. Here's a little bit about the author and also a description of the book. You can take a moment to take a read about this one. This is a drama, genre drama. This week, think about how we talked about the use of the zero, first, and second conditional. Your homework assignment is to write a story using 5 words, these 5 words. You can use other words, of course, but these must appear in the story. They're the focus of the story. Apple, train, elephant, paper, and banjo. Write no more than 400 words, and you can submit that to the forum within the next 7 days for edits. On the page afterwards, you'll find our questions of the day using the words of this day, and then the answer key to check your answer. Here is today's link. If you'd like to get started with any of the exercises, just go ahead and click on the link and then request access, and then I'll be able to grant that to you. Any questions as we wrap up for today? All right, then I will see you all next week. Have a great week.
Bye.
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 Bye.